Schools are front and center in the fight over mask mandates as parents across the country simply ask for the choice when it comes to covering their child's face. One mother sent a letter to her kid's preschool asking them to reconsider their mandate. The letter included links to articles and studies presenting a counterargument. When the Washington Post got a hold of it, this is how they categorized it: as a Koch-backed group fueling opposition to school mask mandates. Here now is the author of that letter, policy director at the Independent Women's Forum, Hadley Heath Manning, and senior editor at The Federalist, Molly Hemingway. Hadley, tell me a little bit about why you wrote this letter in the first place.
Sure. I actually wrote the letter while I was on maternity leave this summer, so no one paid me to do it. I was doing it in my capacity as a mother out of concern for my son. I wrote it to the head of his preschool. I asked that the school consider making masks a matter of parental choice. And of course, the Washington Post article is meant to smear me and to smear my employer. But Ben, the bigger implication, the worst implication, is that parental pushback across the country that we're seeing is part of some conspiracy, that it's not sincere, that it's not civil, that it's not legitimate, and the concerns of parents are legitimate and do deserve to be heard.
Molly, you, I know, are familiar with the degree to which the Washington Post is willing to twist the truth in advocating against the interests of mass numbers of Americans who have questions about these mandates. Tell me a little bit about your perspective on this story.
Well, it's just a fascinating thing that the story ran. There's no news in it. It's not news that tens of millions of parents are opposed to mask mandates. It's not news that conservative groups are out there or that they're funded by conservatives or that Hadley cares about these things. The only reason to run this story was to put a target on Hadley's back and Independent Women's Forum because of this desire to marginalize and suppress anyone who's speaking out against it. It's also not news that the Washington Post is owned by Jeff Bezos, who also owns Amazon, that company has benefited mightily. Last year, its sales were up 40-some%. Its profits soared 200%. They have benefited mightily from the pandemic. They would like to keep people in a pandemic state of mind, and so they are financially and otherwise opposed to people having a different point of view, and the Washington Post operates to exist to sort of support these viewpoints and suppress those who don't agree with them.
Hadley, one of the things that's so surprising to me is that this whole media conglomerate that kind of pretends that the opposition to these issues, that the pushback from parents is some kind of fringe perspective, as opposed to what we've actually seen, which is that an enormous number of Americans, perhaps even the majority of parents, are very skeptical of these mandates, not just when it comes to masks, but to other steps as well. Why do you think that the media is so willing to just pretend like that doesn't exist?
Yeah, they said my letter traffics in extremism. So, of course, the first thing we did is we made the letter publicly, freely available. It was previously available behind a paywall on Independent Women's Network, which is a community where we empower women to make a difference in their community, and we invite everyone to join. But we made it freely available in front of the paywall so that people can read for themselves. This is not a letter that traffics in extremism. It's a simple plea, a heartfelt plea. I wrote it from myself to a person that I really know, a real person. And that's generally the position that a lot of parents are in. They simply want to voice their concerns. They don't want to be silenced or intimidated or made to feel like they're in the fringe. But that's, of course, the goal here, is to make parents feel like you're the only one who feels this way. You better not mention this, or you're going to be called a political hack. You're going to be called other names, or worse, you're going to be attacked for, wanting more people to die from COVID, which, of course, couldn't be further from the truth.
And isn't this a perfect example, Molly, of how the national media seeks to nationalize every problem, or to essentially make every dispute that happens on a local level, in this case between a local mother and a preschool, something where they can kind of marshal the forces that support their perspective to go after people who don't toe the line of their narrative?
Well, they have done that so well, and so many people have done that, including, this National School Board Association that asked the Department of Justice to go after parents who are speaking against some of the more extreme actions being taken at their local school boards. It's easier to fight if they can get all of the national media to go up against mothers like Hadley and other mothers around the country who are trying to have a say in their schools and how they're run.
Molly and Hadley, thank you so much for taking the time to join me tonight. I think this is an incredibly important issue, and I hope that people will check out your letter, will read it, will understand that it comes from people who really do have children, know the people that they're writing to, and care about this subject. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.